Good evening, everyone. This is Son from the UK. I'm a friend of Big Boss. Big Boss is obviously Dave. You all call him Dave. I call him Big Boss. I've known him for many years. We met through Twitter. Great guy, great mentor, great friend. I've learned a lot from Big Boss. I really have. I'm so happy and proud of him for doing this podcast, E.I.T.H.R. I really am. I know it's something he was talking about doing for a long time, and he's finally done it. But that's what I love about Big Boss. Whenever he says he's going to do something, he will do it. He's less talk and more action. So I'm really happy for him, and I'm really proud of him as well. It's very inspiring. I'm enjoying listening to the podcast as and when I can. I find it educational and I find it entertaining. It's just brilliant. It's such a great podcast to listen to. And I hope that everybody else who's listening to the podcast is also enjoying it. If you haven't listened to the podcast yet, I certainly do encourage you to start listening to it. You won't be disappointed. Because like I say, it's entertaining and it's also educational, because that's what you need. It's a good balance, which is what Big Boss has always been like. He's all about balance. So he's not always serious, but he's not always a joker. He just does both brilliantly. And he knows how to fuse them together as well. He knows sometimes you can make a bit of a joke about a situation and other times you can't. I just think he's brilliant at what he does, and I'm really happy for him, and I'm really excited to see how far this podcast will go. Good luck, Big Boss, and I certainly hope that all your viewers enjoy the show as much as I'm doing so.
So, let's start with the E.I.T.H.R.
You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal.
Happy Monday, everybody. It's your boy D-Cal here from the E.I.T.H.R podcast from the GNSHQ here in Northern California. Happy Monday to everybody. I don't know where you are on the planet, damn it, but we are facing some interesting weather right now. Mother Nature is pissed the fuck off at somebody. I don't know, but whoever it is, they need to go ahead and get right. So, coming from Northern California and the E.I.T.H.R podcast, thank you very much for tuning in. To everybody who is new to this platform, we're going to explain to you a little bit how it works. And those who are returning, I sincerely appreciate your time and effort of taking the time out to listen to a guy like me. E.I.T.H.R podcast stands with the elephant in the room, where we talk about some topics and discussing that are difficult at times for people to have with their peers and their circles, because some people are just short-sighted, some people are just closed-minded. We also discuss things that are inspirational and motivational. We like to give shots out to people so that way everyone feels on a positive note as we begin the day, begin the week, and begin the rest of your life. Listen, today is better than yesterday because you woke up on your own. So what we're going to do is we're going to start everything off like normal. We're giving a shout out. Anyone who listens to the episode, they know I am a very modest person when it comes to putting anything out there that belongs to myself. I am the first person to give myself credit last. But on this particular day, I'm going to give myself a shout out and everything that is encompassing with the GNS Inc. We are in the next week or two unrolling the GNS promotion branch, where we're going to be promoting some of the products that we have and promoting products and services that some of our sponsors have and partners that we got over the time of building this company. In addition to that, the World Update is starting to take shape. And what the World Update is, it's another branch to bring some positivity and encouragement to the world. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the podcast, most likely in the second segment when we get into it. But motivational, inspirational, there's a lot of people out there who can use some motivation and some inspiration. And we're going to go ahead and do it like this. Keep this in mind. Whatever triggers you also reveals what you need to heal. And that's very crucial. Myself needs to hear those things. What pisses you off is things that may have been triggers or traumas from your past, whether childhood, adolescent, teenage, or adulthood, personal, family, work, whatever. Address these issues so that way when they come across, they don't offend you as much. All right? So we're going to get into this episode of the E.I.T.H.R podcast. We're going to talk about certain things that happened over the weekend, like my Raiders, and the new branch we got. But first, let's go ahead and do this.
Most t-shirts are simply cool to look at and or look in. Well, so are ours. But ours also aim to send a message. They aim to put a name on obstacles that once stood in your way and aren't there anymore. Struggles that you turned into successes and crushed. You made it look easy. Shop at mile.today. Mile.today. www.mile.today. A GNS collection.
Hi, this is Jean from Ukiah, California, listening to the handsome and witty decal of the E.I.T.H.R.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Welcome back to the E.I.T.H.R podcast. For those who are also on social media, you're more than welcome to follow us on social media. The handle is going to be the same, whether it is Twitter, whether it is Instagram. It is E.I.T.H.R. You're more than welcome to follow. You're more than welcome to comment. If you do not have social media for whatever reason, you can go to YouTube and you can search for the parent company, which is the GNS Inc. Just search for that. Subscribe to the page. We greatly appreciate it. Also, you can download the Spreaker app, Spreaker. Find the E.I.T.H.R podcast on the Spreaker, and you can chat with I while I'm live doing an episode. So what we're going to talk about right now is what happened this past weekend. So anyone who is familiar with football, American football, not the football that the world knows, but just us funky ass Americans. Okay, so I am a Raider fan. Probably the greatest team in the whole world, Greg. But this past weekend we took on our nemesis, one of our biggest rivals in our division, the Kansas City Chiefs, in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got our ass whooped. Okay, depending on how you look at it, it can start from the ownership. It can be the problem of the head coach. It can be the problem of the quarterback. It can be a problem. Pick a position. There's probably a problem there. But this particular topic we're going to be talking about is something that didn't happen on the field. It happened in the stands. A season ticket holder who I know of. I don't know the man. I never met the man in person. I've had conversations with him on certain posts on social media. That's kind of where it stands. But he seems like a good dude from everybody who I have been in contact with. A real solid stand-up dude. Die-hard Raider dude. Raider fan, tattoo and all that fun stuff. My man was holding a sign in his season ticket holding seat. And the sign you may have seen on social media says, "We deserve better." And the Raiders were a playoff team last season with less talent. And then we get this guru of a coach, allegedly, who brings us a top tier receiver who played with the quarterback that was starting the season off in college. Things happen. The quarterback, E.I.T.R, gets benched. We bring in his backup to play for the final game of the year against Kansas City. And just throughout the whole turmoil of this particular season, my man held a sign that said, "We deserve better." Fine, no big deal. There's been a lot of disgust from the fan base regarding this head coach, which is just 20 years of frustration built up, right? On the back of his sign, he wrote the phrase, "Bench McDaniels." Josh McDaniels happens to be the head coach of the Raiders this season. So he put on there, "Bench McDaniels." Well, the owner, apparently Mark Davis, son of the late Godfather, Al Davis, did not take too kindly to that sign. So what he did was he had security escort E.I.T.R out of the game, which makes no fucking sense. And you can hear in the video that's going through social media, it's very extremely viral right now, where they allow people to smoke weed and do, God knows whatever, at this arena, and security and everyone kind of just turns the other way. But because this sign got under the skin of the chairman, the owner of the team, so that's my guess. It has to be, because I can't think of anyone else who would get offended by this, unless the head coach himself got, butthurt. They had this man escorted out, and it doesn't matter who your team is. If the owner, the person who runs the organization, is this sensitive, this says a lot. This says a lot about the mindset. This says a lot about where his focus is. This says a lot about where this team is headed under his tutelage, his supervision, his ownership, under his name. Again, if it's the head coach who asked for the person to be removed, E.I.T.R, that tells you where his head is at. Your skin is that thin to where a sign that says you need to be benched, that should tell you exactly what your fan base thinks of your coaching quality thus far in your first season. Now, he was a head coach before with one of our other rivals, the Denver Broncos, and he didn't have too much success there. He went back to New England, offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, got an interview with the Indianapolis Colts, and right before he took the position, he quit, he bailed, he went back to New England. So everyone said, okay, it was mature for him to realize that this wasn't his thing, and he went back to where he was before he took the position because he knew he wasn't ready for it. This time around, we went from a playoff team last season to 6-11 with more talent. How the fuck does that happen? How, Craig? How, Sway? How does that work? So again, if the fans are getting under your skin because it's perceived that your coaching ability is inept, after switching the quarterback, that's another discussion. After not making any adjustments from the first 2 quarters of the football game to the second 2 quarters of the football game, the opposing coaches can make adjustments to what it is that you're doing, but you can't make the adjustments yourself. That's a problem. Now, there's nothing we can do with the coach because he's under contract and the owner is already cut a check for the previous head coach that was fired for misogynist, racist, prejudiced, sexist comments about players and personnel throughout the NFL to other general managers and coaches. Again, that's another topic, it's another conversation. So the owner is not going to cut a check to get rid of this coach either. Not only that, but you can't admit, it's an ego, it's a pride, and you have to respect it to a degree. You can't admit that you just fucked up your second head coaching hire in a row. You can't, there's no way you can say, I'm this bad. So you have to stick it out. The Raiders, as popular as they are, as a global brand as they are, they're also one of the, if not the cash poorest teams in the NFL. This move from Oakland, California to Las Vegas, Nevada was supposed to be like the jackpot. No pun intended, because they're in Las Vegas. But it's more of the same of what it was before. So now the question is, why did you even move? If you're going to give us the same crap in a prettier, shinier environment, why'd you take the team from its original home? It makes no sense. And I've always gave the analogy, you can either go to a fancy restaurant where the ambiance is very nice, very few people are there, it's exclusive clientele only, the price point is outrageous, the portions aren't really there, but it's very filling. Or you can go to a restaurant with a fucking hole in the wall that gives you this massive mess of food. You get food coma halfway through. You have to take the food home and it lasts you an extra couple of days. It tastes better on day 2 and day 3. And it's in a sketch neighborhood and the lines across the fucking street around the corner. That's the difference between this new Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Oakland Coliseum in Oakland, California. Everyone believed that this new stadium was going to attract free agents and players and blah, 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 blah. That wasn't the case. Do you feel Vegas Ralph, this fan, should have been escorted out the game? Do you feel that the coach should have thicker skin? Do you believe that the ownership should say, if I don't like what the fans are saying about my team, we should do better? What's your take? What would you do if you were escorted out of a game because you wrote a sign that wasn't disrespectful, that wasn't belligerent, expressing your frustrations with how the team is going? What say you? How would you handle that situation? And we're going to come right back after this.
This is Sarah from Northern Cali, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D.Cal.
So in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about the new branch from the GNS Ink tree. And what that is, the World Update. So basically what the World Update is, in a nutshell, it's a platform that we're creating to bring positive as well as good news that's flowing throughout the country, that's flowing throughout your region, that's flowing throughout locally, all over the place. All right. It was one of those things that was thought about because everywhere you turn to, it doesn't really matter where, you can find some negativity. It's not that hard to find. So I came up with this idea that, you know what, maybe, possibly, it would behoove people to get something encouraging, whether it's something in your neighborhood, a kid gets their first A, somebody opens up their very first business, someone overcomes an adversity somehow, some way, neighbors doing neighborly things in the neighborhood, whatever the case is, something positive and refreshing. So that's what that is. After just about a 2-hour discussion last night, we are in the process of getting everything we need to be getting situated for this within the next week. Hopefully, by the end of this week, I will be able to bring on the Vice Chief of Editing, Miss Kelsey Martin, where she will be able to discuss what it is her vision for the World Update and where does she plan on taking this branch of the company and how does she see this fitting in the new media. I'm doing air quotes for those who can't see me on the podcast. Okay, so that's what that's about. But it's definitely an outlet where you come to and it's going to be positive. Listen, I don't know how many of you, myself included, goes on these social media pages, whether it's CNN or MSNBC or Fox 40 or Fox News, whatever platform it is you go to. It seems most of the shit that you see is highlighted as negative, whether it was some type of crime, a murder, or robbery, a child missing. All these things are important, don't get me wrong. They are extremely important and they need to be presented to the world so everyone is at least aware of it. That I do agree with. But it's also one of those things where I just feel, I don't know, man. There's so much negativity, and negative energy is almost twice as strong as positive energy. So this idea is something that we're going to do to fight back the negativity. So if you ever are looking for an outlet that's you need some reassurance that there's some good things going on in the world, this is what this is going to be, the World Update. So we're starting off with the social media right now. We have the Twitter account and we have the Instagram account. Everything is brand new. So just putting the word out here on the E.I.T.H.R podcast. So if you guys want to, which I encourage, obviously, and I appreciate the support, obviously. On Instagram, Twitter, the handle is the same. It's @_ the triple, then the letter U, _ the triple U _. If you go to the E.I.T.H.R podcast or the E.I.T.H.R Instagram page and the E.I.T.H.R Twitter page, you'll see the post with the handle and a way you can just click on it and you can add it and we can go from there. And I do appreciate you guys taking the time to follow those pages because I do want to be the change in the world that I want to see. I do want to see that. And my late brother Joseph once made a comment and it says, don't become what it is you hate. And that's what we're going to try to fix. We're not going to become what we hate. The next topic I want to speak about is a word of advice I see from a movie. Anyone who knows me, I love movies. I don't get a chance to see all the movies that I want to see, but to pass the time by, I tend to rewatch movies that I have seen. And most of the time I catch things that I may have missed, learn lessons that I didn't pay attention to. So in the movie American Gangster with Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington, there was a scene where the character Denzel Washington portrays called Frank Lucas. He's talking to his brother and he makes the saying, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. That quote, when I first heard it, was very profound to me. And here's how it resonates with me in real life, if you will. We live in a world right now where social media is everything. Social media is everywhere. Sometimes the people who boast the most about certain topics, they're trying to, in my opinion, paint a reality that isn't real, which tells me how bad their reality truly is, that they'd rather for the world to believe a lie than to know the truth. In addition, sometimes putting your business in the fucking street is just not the best thing to do. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The less I tell people, the more I ain't gotta explain myself. Think about that. The less you tell people, the more you ain't got to explain. And I've seen so many people, and it's your right, it's your prerogative, it's your page. I've just seen a lot of people put their business in the street, and then they get irritated and bothered when people start asking them questions about their business. And listen, I don't know the intent of your post. I don't know what your mindset is today, tomorrow, yesterday, next week. You and your boyfriend broke up, and you can't stand life, and you hate men. And, okay, how's everything going? Don't worry about me. Okay. Some people just want the attention. And you got to be very cautious and careful about those individuals who just want the attention. Some people just, they fall in love with the timeline. They fall in love with the camera. They fall in love with that dopamine of being the center of attention in everything and everywhere they go. To me, that shit is very draining. There's a time and a place where you want to stunt. There's a time and a place where you do want to show off. There's a time and a place where you want to let the world know, okay, I'm proud of this accomplishment. That's fine. But there's a fine line between being proud of what you've done and being arrogant and extremely prideful. Now, I'm not passing judgment, even though just on this may seem like it is judgment. That's not the case. That's not who I am. Because I myself have been someone who do things for shock value and do things to, and I realized how ugly I felt when I did that. So, on my personal page, sometimes I'll put shit just to get people's reaction, and those who know me, they know what's true, they know what's not. They understand my position on certain topics, and they know sometimes I'm tongue-in-cheek, and I'll say things just because I know it humorously, jokingly gets under people's skin. Because people know my personality. They know I mean no harm. I'm just clowning around. Those who know me know this. Those who don't know me, there's a possibility they may take offense to it. And I explain myself to them. I go out of the way to explain myself to people who I really don't need to explain shit to. But I want you to understand, this is not who I am deep down. I'm just saying this to entertain my fans, if you will. But there are some people who do it because they're just that miserable. I remember on social media, I got into a conversation with this woman, and we were talking about, it was me, her, and another gentleman from New York. And we're having this conversation, and she was saying things about the Bay Area. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. She was saying how certain parts of the Bay Area are here and certain parts of the Bay Area are there. And then she kind of got upset at me. And she says, dude, you don't even know I live out here. I'm like, first of all, honey boo boo, I grew up here. I went to school here. I did some college here. I know this place better than you do. Because all you're doing is just going around and changing your location on your social media. So it looks like you're well traveled. When in actuality, you're just trying to get attention because, well, let's face it, you have nothing else going for yourself. So when it came down to it, some people, they don't like to be called out. And I understand. But some people need to be called out. And so that's ultimately why I tell people, why I'm suggesting, be aware of those who are extremely loud for no reason, who need the attention, who are just saying shit just to say shit, who are saying things just to get people to look at them temporarily. Don't spend your time on them. Don't spend your time with that. I recently got in touch with a friend today who she took a large break from social media because the ignorance of people, which is extremely real, and that weighs on you. Sometimes it weighs on you immediately. Sometimes it's a compound effect, and it just drags on. Don't waste your time. Listen, when you're talking about certain things that you know, there's a difference in having a conversation, an informed opinion and an uninformed opinion. And some motherfuckers don't want to believe the facts because they think what they think makes more sense, right? What they think is true is true. What you know to be true is fake news. It's false. It's not a reality. If you're anything like me, and I'm guessing there's a lot of people who are, you spend minutes, if not hours, of your day trying to educate, persuade people that what they're saying is incorrect. Most of the time, they're arguing to learn. Because in today's world, asking questions is embarrassing. So I have to throw out false facts and wait for someone to correct me. And then when I research, Google, whatever it is that you said to be true, now I'm the expert, right? All because you have an opinion doesn't mean that your opinion is the right opinion. Hell, all because you have an opinion doesn't fucking mean you need to share your opinion. But we live in a world where people who make the most noise gets the most attention. And that's usually the smaller minority number of people who gets the attention paid to them, right? Don't waste your time. The loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one in the room. Again, there's a difference between entertaining people who know you, tongue-in-cheek. You're making, tongue-in-cheek comments, but you actually are aware of the truth. You're just being funny. But listen, man, there's people out there who just, they live to piss you off. Do not let them take your energy. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Be aware. That's all I want to talk to you guys about. Again, you get the opportunity on social media, please, I would appreciate it. Social media for the E.I.T.H.R podcast, the handle is the same, E.I.T.H.R on Instagram as well as Twitter. The World Update, Instagram and Twitter, _THETRIPLEU_. The triple U. I do look forward to you guys checking out this program. Oh, and next week, we're going to be releasing our very first running shoe. It's called the RTS Cadence. I'm excited about this. So, we're growing the portfolio over here. So, again, it's one of those things where I don't like to talk about my thing of what we're doing on the podcast, but I want the world to know that if you want to see change in the world, be that change. So look forward to that. Look out for that. I appreciate you guys tuning in from England to Australia to Northern California, Southern California, and everywhere in between the two coasts. You guys be safe out there in these storms. Stay warm. You are loved. You are appreciated. Nothing is more important than your peace. And you cannot put a price on a peace of mind. So take care of yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And we will chat with you again in the near future. We out.
There's no soul more innocent, none more pure. God's favorite. It's D.Cal, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast.